You are now tuned in to Metro Focus, inspiring talk news for you.
I have some really awesome women here on the show today. I've got Christine Wingo, who is an author, entrepreneur, and an engineer. Christine, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So Christine, you attended the University of Buffalo for engineering. That is not a common major for young African American women. What inspired you to, first of all, take that step to such an occupation?
So engineering was introduced to me by my dad, actually. He worked for General Motors for almost 33 and a half years, and in that time he used to have a family day. They would have an open house, and you would go in and look at all the technical and line-driven items, the assembly lines, and that fascinated me. And from that point on, I had the light bulb that went off and said, that's what you want to do. And so fast forwarding, I chose to go to Tech High School, of which afforded me a great opportunity to learn about mechanical technology, and then industrial and engineering is what I chose at the University of Buffalo.
I have to let you know that the reason I asked you on this show is because you inspire me so much. You are very creative, very smart, very beautiful, very loving, and your drive and determination is something that is incomparable. I have not met anyone like you.
Oh my goodness.
So I wanted to take this time and use this platform to first of all say to you, thank you for motivating me, thank you for inspiring me, and hopefully you'll inspire someone out there who's watching. Now, Christine, you are an author, not once but twice. So you've written Free Yourself to Love and to Be Loved, and also Release to Live. Can you tell us what inspired your first book?
So the first book, I had a little bout with sickness, which afforded me some time at Roswell Park Cancer Institute. And from that, I had many visitors, of which one came through and said, this is your time to just write. So I took that under consideration, and I would write little bits and pieces of how I was feeling and what was going on at certain points, and then turned it into something else that said, hey, you're sitting here. I was like, how do I get out of this situation? And it wasn't something that you could just jump out of. You had to go through it. And a lot of times I believe heavily in God, and I believe that he left me here for a reason, because there's not many people who survive what I dealt with. And from that experience and that time, I knew that there was something that someone could use, because I was looking for the same thing when I was going through. So I offer it to people who are dealing with some tumultuous situations which cause them to be either depressed about it, or either in a position where they think they cannot go forward. And so one thing that God allowed me to do as a person is to know that he's always next to me. He's always there for me. And I talk a lot about that, but I more or less focus on me as a female, black, in the community, wanting and living a dream in some aspects, but not really believing some of my dream. So it focuses on a lot of different pieces. There's 7 wonderful chapters within that book. And then there's the spin-off, the part 2, which talks about releasing to live. Because you're free to love and you're free to be open to others, then you can release in that. And when you release, you're more or less allowing people to love you. So essentially there's some pieces with Release to Live that allows you to reflect. And if you do not reflect on the things that you know you need to fix or work on, it's hard for you to interject and engage with other people. And so from that, the third aspect of what I love, which is education and engineering, there's a third project coming off of that. So from those 7 chapters, there's a few things that come out of this book.
Are you ready to release the title of that one?
So the title of the third one is not yet solid, but it will deal with transition. And it will be dealing with transitions for students who are transitioning from education to employment opportunities, but also transitioning from childhood and young adulthood to full-blown adult. There's some things that we don't see as children because our parents nurture us in a way or that guardian nurture you in a way to show you that there's a lovely life, but you don't see all the dark sides that may come with that. And there's a way that you can navigate that without becoming bitter or sullen because it's afforded you some things that you just didn't see coming.
Okay, so you talked about going to the University at Buffalo for engineering. Now that was your planned goal.
Yes.
That was a planned profession. Would you say that your books were more so the unplanned passion or the unplanned purpose for Christine? Because I read your books.
Okay.
And when I read them, I was actually going through some things myself. And it put me in, it took me to a place that basically told me, first of all, this is not permanent. Second of all, it's up to you and what you believe. Have faith and trust, because I too am a believer in faith and all things happen for a reason. Trust the situation, trust your journey. So the purposeful part of the book, you don't regret anything. You can edit this, right? Okay. You don't regret anything that happened to you in that book, I'm sure, because it led you to this place.
Yes. And so because of those avenues and those paths that I had to take, they weren't what I wanted because I'm a planner. I write down everything. You could find journals everywhere.
And you can't plan being told that you are not going to live.
Right.
That is not, you cannot plan your date.
Right.
You cannot plan your time. You cannot plan where you are and what you're doing.
Right. So because that plan, and because with an engineering mindset, you tend to have a plan, do, act type of position where you think that everything goes in these succinct paths, and they don't. So because they don't, you tend to drive yourself to a point where you're getting anxious about things. And so when that path is not direct, you have to lean back on knowing that it's not always going to go the way you think it will go. So that's where you think about faith. And my dad had a saying to all of his kids at one point where he would always say, our last name is Wingo, but think about it this way, win and go. And so when you say win and go, that means there's no room to get stuck. There's no room to keep marinating on things, as we would say. At some point you have to say, just let it go and get busy doing what your dream is. Get busy focusing on what the true purpose is for you to do and be as a human being on the earth.
Which leads me into my final thought. You're transitioning now.
Mm-hmm.
This process, this period is allowing you to now compile everything that you've been through, your experiences, taught and learned, to do what? What can we expect from you now? So
if you never leap, you'll never know how to sail. And that's one of the quotes that I have in the second book. And it deals more, and it focuses more on you got to take some chances and some risk.
And what chances are you preparing
So every dream and every little journal I wrote about it, owning my own engineering firm. So I took some steps towards that, and Phenomenal Engineering will be the name of it, and we're doing some transitional pieces around that, getting things aligned and certifications and all those sorts of things aligned. But knowing that if you have a dream, let no one talk you out of it. Move forward and do it at the best of your ability. Know that excellence is always key. And if you don't have excellence, then it's no need in doing it. And I'm a big fan of not reworking things over and over again, but improving where you are and where you project to be. So at the end of the day, you have to resolve and make that resolve to release. If you don't release what's in the past, you'll always live in the past and you'll never gain what's in the future for you.
Thank you so much for being here, Christine.
No problem.
I really
it was my pleasure.
You.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll be back.
Metro Focus.
Welcome back. My next guest I have sitting with me is Stacy Lewis. She is an incredible woman, a trailblazing young lieutenant with the Buffalo Police Department, and will be a recipient of the 2014 Black Achievers Awards. Stacy Lewis, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Stacy, the reason I asked you to come on the show is because I'm highlighting the phenomenal women who inspire me, who pursue their passion by way of their profession, or are just phenomenal women in their own right. So, Stacy, you are one of the 3 black females of rank in the city of Buffalo's police department. How does that feel?
Honestly, Melissa, I'm still coming to grips with it. I was appointed and promoted in April of this year, so it's just settling in to being reality now. So proud for the opportunity.
I think you should be very proud. I'm thankful to know someone like you because you have cracked the mold of what the average everyday person thinks a police or a police officer would look like. We had a conversation earlier today and I said that you're beautiful, you're charismatic, you always smiling, you've got dimples. And I don't see too many police officers that look like you, Stacy. What have you learned from being in this position? I know you've been a police officer for quite some time.
Yes.
19 years? 17 years?
1997, I started as a police officer, and thank you for the just the lovely compliments. It's nice to hear. I basically followed my mother into the profession. She was my example and my guiding light. So she raised my brother and I as a single mom. As a police officer, she started the job in 1982 and made a wonderful life for us that afforded us opportunities to see and experience things that I thought were the norm, and as I got older realized that not every kid had the same opportunities or exposure that I had. So had a little bit different perception of police officers because I had an inside track. Like I said, followed my mom. I'm the only daughter thus far to have followed her mother into the police department in the history of BPD. So it's just a great honor to be able to take her accomplishment and honor her and take it a step further by, being able to get a promotion and just work, in my hometown.
That's awesome. So what is the greatest reward for you being in this position?
Well, right now I'm not a typical, your average officer that you see on the street. I'm a step away from that at this point in that I've been working an internal position for the last 4 years, actually assigned to the Internal Affairs Division. So my time as a beat cop, street cop, has it's been a little while that I've had to had that level of contact. But honestly, just what I remember loving the most about that was, we have the liberty, we're out in the cars, we're out on the street, we're in the community, and the job really is what you make it. It has a component of social work, it has a component of counseling, it has a component of police work as well, but I just think it's an excellent opportunity to just meet and greet and work with the people of your community.
Now, you were born and raised in the Buffalo area?
East Side. Buffalo girl, raised literally 2 blocks from the entrance of ECMC.
So we talked about that earlier as well, going back into your old community just to see how things are changing. And one of the greatest, I'm very proud at the moment because Buffalo is changing. We are definitely on the rise, moving towards a more progressive city. So I think it was very important for me to have you on the show because I think your presence and letting our viewers see someone who looks like them, trendy, young, hip, cute.
Thank
Again,
you.
the dimples.
Thank you.
I think it's very important for people to see that you are not your circumstance or you're not your situation. You are not where you're from. Basically, you can rise above those things. You can be whatever you want to be, especially a young African American girl. If she had in her mind to say, I think I want to be the next lieutenant, you're living proof that that can happen.
Oh, absolutely. And like you say, it's a great time in Buffalo. Great things are happening. Our newly appointed Deputy Police Commissioner, Kimberly Beatty, is a mentor and an example to me, as well as one of my immediate supervisors, Captain Barbara Lark. They've just been, just great examples of police officers, great examples of female police officers. And a big part of who I am is I recognize and appreciate how blessed and fortunate I am and have been throughout my life. So it's important to me to have, a capacity where I can give back, maybe expose children who wouldn't be aware of the greatness of the world, unless there were organizations that existed for such things. So I'm a member of the Community for Giving Legacy Initiative, Jennifer Parker's philanthropic endeavor. I'm a member of AKA Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, and all of these organizations have a component of giving back to your community. They have a component of children are the future, and that, it just takes one encounter, one person to maybe open up a child's eyes or change their perception of a profession, of a person, or even of their potential. So I really take it as a great responsibility and an honor that, I'm regarded as a person that has that capacity, that power.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Or what are your goals at this point? Because you've reached various plateaus and it seems like you can only go higher. So what else is there for Stacy?
Well, as I told you in our conversation earlier, my full-time job is being a mom. I'm just blessed to have a career as a police officer. So my son is 5 years old. In 5 years, I might be a retired stay-at-home mom. Maybe one of my entrepreneurial visions will have taken flight and I'll be doing that. Or we might just be cool and doing homeschooling on a Caribbean beach somewhere. I just,
sounds nice.
the world is wide open. I just kind of have to streamline my, my options a little bit. So
I think that's awesome because you can never dream too big.
I'm very blessed. So, yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
To Metro Focus.
Events of September 11th, there have been hundreds of violent attacks against innocent Americans.
Remember what that flag you're waving stands for.
Remember, please stop the hate.
We're stronger when we are united.
Remember what that flag you're waving stands for.
One nation under God.
Indivisible.
With liberty
and justice
For all.
In America, there's either room for everyone, or it's not America.
Don't pick the wrong fight.
Let's keep America land of the free.
Stop the hate.
Thousands of kids in this country have everything it takes to go to college, except the money. The United Negro College Fund. A mind is a terrible thing to waste.
Welcome back. My next guest is sweet as pie, Miss Stephanie Valentine. She is the owner of Candy Coated Bags. Hi, Stephanie.
Hi, Melissa.
Thanks for joining us today.
You're welcome.
So I asked you to come on the show because you have such a strong influence in our community with young girls. Now, you started out, you are one of my good friends, started out in retail, which was an entrepreneurial venture that you stepped out to do, but your background is far from the candy-coated experience that you're going to talk to us about today. Your background is in IT and computer software.
Yes.
But your passion and what you've been excelling in is something that just kind of happened recently. Okay, can you tell the viewers about this new venture by way of the Candy Coated Bags? Tell us who Candy Coated Bags is and what that was about to where you are now.
Okay. Well, my professional background, I am an IT analyst, software configuration analyst, so I am a computer geek. And although that's how I make my living, it really was something that I found that it was something to do. And it paid the bills, but it just didn't drive me. So a friend of mine, I've always been an entrepreneur by nature, so I've had other businesses prior to Candy Coated Bags that failed, but you try and try. So a friend of mine said, well, why don't you try handbags? You collect them, why don't you try selling them? So I'm like, okay, I'll try anything once. And it just kind of took off. So it became Candy Coated Bags. And Candy actually is an acronym that I didn't say what it was for a very long time because for my own personal reasons, I wanted people to just assume what they wanted to assume about the bags. But it wasn't until recently that I finally decided to share what CANDY actually means. It's an acronym that stands for confidence, assertiveness, nurturing, diversity, and you. And the reason why I decided to share it is because just looking at the young girls every single day, I'm like, it's time for me to step out from behind the scenes and talk about what candy coated really is to me, what it means to me, and what I need everyone else to understand what it means. And even though I love my purses, I love my clutches and my handbags, that it kind of like Be Candy Coated is my girls program, and it kind of morphed from that. Because when I wanted to stop doing the handbags, I wanted to stop selling it and just go back to just being computer geek behind the scenes, it wouldn't let me. Something wouldn't let me. People were calling, are you selling those bags, or what are you doing? So I said, you know what, I need to do something, because something inside is tugging at me to keep going. So I began donating some of the bags to nonprofit organizations that help girls. And the more I did that, the more I came involved with them. And then I started mentoring. And I was asked to mentor with Pretty as a Daisy enrichment program, which Marilyn Gibson is the founder. And initially when she asked me, I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. I'll just stay in the background. I'll give you a purse, you know, whatever you need to donate, I'll do it. But once she kept asking me and I did it, it was just like the lights just came on. It was like an aha moment. And it just started developing from there. And Be Candy Coated actually is a name that I actually, although it came from candy coated bags, it's more or less telling young girls and women to be candy coated, not necessarily, I forget the word that I'm looking for, but it's actually telling the girls to be candy coated, to be confident, be assertive, be nurturing, have a self-love for yourself, be diverse, don't stay in the same circle, and most importantly, be you, be who you are. And the more I started mentoring, the more I saw a need that these girls are, they're lacking. We have so many programs, awesome programs for girls, but they're cookie cutter to me. And it's like the same things. It's like, you know, let's talk about hygiene. Let's talk about, you know, what to do in school. Let's talk about, you know, and not saying that any of that stuff is bad, but what I focus on is the core. Let's talk about you. Let's talk about the things that are bothering you. Why aren't you really getting those good grades? It's not because you're not dumb. You are smart, but are you hiding behind a mask because all your other friends, you know, are failing, so you want to fit in too? So why are you doing that? Why do you dress the way that you dress? Because you're trying to get the attention of that boy or whatever the case may be. So those are the things that I wanted to focus on with Be Candy Coated. And I honestly think that that's why it's taken off, because I don't sugarcoat. I mean, even though it's candy coated and that's the name and people think, oh, it's so sugary, sweet. No, I don't candy coat nothing. When the girls come in to our teen empowerment sessions, we start with a topic, but whatever question comes up, I let it take the floor, because that's the girls' platform. It allows them to talk, to be who they are, to say what they want to say, to ask the questions that they're afraid to ask their parents, they're afraid to ask their teachers. And it lets them know that there's other peers. You have people that you normally wouldn't associate with that are asking the same question. You have someone from Amherst and you live in the city of Buffalo. Two different neck of the woods, but you have the same question. You have the same issues that you're dealing with. And that's the focus, to let them know, okay, I'm not in this alone. And not only that, but there are things that come up that, you know, I don't shy away from. You know, I've had questions come up to ask about, you know, abortion.
So, Stephanie, you have workshops for girls, which my daughter just completed the very first run of, was it 6 weeks?
Yes.
6-week program back in July. Tell our viewers about the structure and the format and what the girls actually did in that program.
Okay. The structure is 6 weeks. We meet every Thursday for an hour and a half. And it's basically an open forum. We start with the topic, and the topic could be, you know, the mask that we wear. And we'll start off with myself and another volunteer, we'll start off with like a conversation, a question, and we let the girls lead. We allow them the opportunity to share issues that they may be facing, pertaining to that topic. It is a 6-week session, and I kept it that way because kids have short attention spans. So if it's 10 weeks or 12 weeks, by that 5 or 6 week period, they lose interest. So I cut it there. And I think the reason why it takes off is because the girls are open to it, because there's confidentiality. We don't share anything with the parents. They're allowed to just talk freely.
Now, this particular aspect of Be Candy Coated is for girls between the ages of what?
13 to 18.
Okay.
Yes.
But the other program that you have that I'd like for you to tell our viewers about is the leadership program through reading.
Yes.
Now, what's the age range for that one?
The age range for that one, it's 2 groups actually. It's 9 through 12 and also 13 through 18. We've been focusing on the 9 through 12 group though, because our teens, we already cater to them with the empowerment workshops.
So how exactly do you teach leadership through reading?
We have, it's kind of like a book club. And it's not like where they have to read a book and write a book report. The books that we choose, we allow the kids to, help us in choosing the books. The characters have to start off as kind of like small or meek, and throughout the storyline, they develop themselves as leaders. And what we do is we pull out those traits in those characters in the book, and we help the girls to recognize those within themselves. So as we're going through the book, we're going through activities teaching the girls leadership skills. So they learn to not only enjoy reading, using their imagination, but they put themselves in the position of that character in the book, and they start to ask, well, what would I do in that situation? How can I lead in that situation?
That's awesome. There was a woman by the name of Edith Johnson. She had Ego Studio on Main and East Utica when I was younger. A lot of young girls were put through her program. It was more so like a charm school type program or finishing school. And she recently passed away within a couple of years ago. I believe she passed away. And I wondered who would step up and fill the shoes of Mrs. Edith Johnson and the Ego Studios. And when you came out with your program, you presented it to me, I knew that this was a program that I had to put my daughter in.
Oh, wow.
So I want to thank you for just being accessible and being available for her, because she is looking forward to working with you in the future.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
No problem. Now, if we have any viewers who are interested in signing their children up, how can they reach you?
Yes, they can reach me at, they can go to the website. The website is www.becandycoded.com. They can view the different programs that we offer, the Girls Who Lead Leadership Program, our Girls Empowerment Workshops, and they can sign up right online. We are currently recruiting for our teen workshops, which is, like I said earlier, is a 6-week session beginning October 9th through November 13th. So we are recruiting teenage girls for that, age 13 through 18. And as well as any agency or organization that is looking to have Be Candy Coated present our program, The Candy Influence, we are recruiting for that as well. And they can find that all on the website.
Thank you so much, Stephanie, for moving forward in your purpose and following your passion.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
To Metro Focus. Inspiring Talk News.